One of the most common questions I get about the role of a Scrum Master is, what does a Scrum Master do all day? Do we even need a full-time Scrum Master? This question is so common that the most popular video on my channel, what does a Scrum Master do all day? I decided today to do a part 2 of this video, a refined version. It's recommended that the Scrum Master serves a single team. Well, at least that's the common narrative of a Scrum community. But there's a lot of people that doubt this premise. What would a Scrum Master do all day with a single team? The team is supposed to be self-managed. That's not the role of Scrum. Self-managed team. What does a Scrum Master do all day with a self-managed team? In organizations where you hear this question a lot, it's typically for two main reasons. First, they don't understand the role of a Scrum Master. And second, they might not even understand what Scrum and Agile is all about. And these questions repeatedly being asked to Scrum Master, or these questions not being attended, they cause problems. This can give a Scrum Master the impression that they need to justify what they do on a daily basis, that they need to work on actual work, output, instead of soft skills, which can even lead to Scrum Masters being assessed by managers, upper management, based on their resource optimization skills. How well they make people in the team productive, how well they remove lazy people from the team and make sure that the team is constantly working 24/7, producing stuff. If you feel the same way, if you feel that you need to constantly be justifying your work or telling people what you do on a daily basis, you're not alone. I asked 152 other Scrum Masters about this question. What do they do all day? And I got the answers today for you. These people are mostly colleagues, my coaching clients, people in the Agile community. There's 8 questions in the survey intended to capture this mystical answer of what a Scrum Master does all day. Questions related to Scrum events, ceremonies, training, coaching, all the things that the Scrum Master does every single day. Most Scrum Masters answering this survey, who answered this survey, work with a single team of 8 or more people, and in 2 weeks sprints. Question number 1, how much time do you spend weekly in the daily Scrum? More than 40% of the teams spend between 12 and 18 minutes per daily Scrum session. Almost 30% of the teams manage to keep the daily Scrums under 5 minutes. That's pretty impressive, but nothing unusual here. Remember, Scrum Masters don't need to attend the daily Scrum. They just need to ensure that the daily Scrums are done by the team. Same for the product owner. The product owner doesn't need to attend the daily Scrum. Just needs to ensure that they are available if ever the team needs help. The daily Scrum is for the development team. The daily Scrum goals is for the development team to craft a plan for the day on how they will collaborate to reach the sprint goal, or at least get closer to the sprint goal. The Scrum Master, product owner, doesn't need to attend that, but it's always useful that they attend it. Scrum Masters answering that they spend less than 5 minutes in daily Scrum might not attend the daily Scrum of their teams every single day. Question number 2, how much time do you spend weekly on product backlog refinement activities, product backlog grooming activities? More than half of all respondents spend more than 1 hour per week on product backlog refinement activities. Remember, Scrum recommends that the team allocates 10% of a sprint to product backlog grooming activities, which equates to 1 day every single sprint. So most Scrum Masters are either not participating in these sessions, or the team are not following the recommended 10% allocation based on the Scrum Guide, the latest version, the Scrum Guide 2020. Maybe it's not even needed. It's not even needed that we need to allocate 10% at this time to product backlog refinement activities for the team. How much time do you spend per sprint in sprint planning? This was the most evenly distributed answer of the survey, with an average value of around 80 minutes, which again is not as per the recommendations of the Scrum Guide, which is 4 hours. You need to spend 4 hours for a sprint of 2 weeks. 2 week sprint, 4 hours as per the Scrum Guide. But this might be because the Scrum Masters don't attend the session. So we never know if they are not attending the sessions or the team is not doing 4 hours of planning for 2 weeks sprints. How much time do you spend per sprint in the sprint review? Most Scrum Masters spend between 30 and 60 minutes on the sprint review. Surprisingly, around 25% of Scrum Masters don't even attend the sprint reviews or spend less than 30 minutes in them. How much time do you spend per sprint in sprint retrospectives? Half of the Scrum Masters who responded to the survey only spend 30 to 60 minutes on sprint retrospectives, and around 40% spend 90 minutes, which makes a lot of sense because the sprint retro is usually the session that Scrum Masters facilitate the most, and this explains why they spend so much time in this session. How much time do you spend per week coaching and supporting individual team members? The answers to this question quite interesting. More than 10% of all Scrum Masters spend at least 4 hours per week on coaching other team members. On the other side of a spectrum, 40% allocate less than 1 hour per week on coaching their teammates or do not do this at all, which I find this very interesting that some Scrum Masters won't even support or coach their team members. How much time do you spend per week coaching, supporting stakeholders in the organization? Around 25% of Scrum Masters are not coaching stakeholders at all or allocate less than 30 minutes per week to this task. The rest allocates various amounts of time to stakeholders' education, most commonly around 1 hour or 2 per week. Which is not surprising. Most Scrum Masters I speak to treat supporting and coaching stakeholders a low priority, which I feel should not be the case at all. How much time do you spend per week learning, reading books, articles, watching videos, learning from other Scrum Masters? 75%, more than 75% of Scrum Masters spend at least an hour per week on educating themselves. 30% of them up to 3 hours. That's not much, in my opinion. I usually spend 3 hours learning stuff on Scrum, on Agile, and other soft skills every single day. And that's it for the survey. If you do the math, the total amount of time spent by these Scrum Masters on all these tasks amounts to 12 hours per week. 12 hours per week. That's not a lot of time. This may explain why so many people believe that Scrum Masters don't do anything during the day. But I also left a comment section, a section for other activities. Not these 8 questions, other activities that Scrum Masters do every single day or every week or every sprint. Here are the common replies: impediment removal or supporting the team in removing these impediments, preparing for presentations, meetings, Scrum events, working on dependencies, tracking metrics, working on planning, release planning. Most of these are product owner responsibilities or the role of a product owner, and some Scrum Masters do that. Working with external vendors, third-party providers, ensuring that they are respecting their delivery dates, the timelines, that they are respecting their contract, the SLA. Gathering metrics and reporting these metrics to leadership or stakeholders. Giving Agile Scrum training to people across the organization, usually the Agile fundamentals training for companies that just started their Agile transformation. You need to train everyone in the organization, and it may take time if there's a huge organization. Observing and listening to team members and helping where needed. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.